Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming LUFENIA Plus event, Dimensions End Transcendence Tier 8. Before I proceed further, here is a quick overview on how Transcendence works. For any Transcendence stages, your party will get boosted stats if you bring a burst unit for the fight. To access Dimensions End Transcendence, you need to clear up to Tier 5 of Dimensions End Entropy. There are 3 stages that you need to clear for the fight. There are 2 crucibles that you need to clear first before you can access the main gate. The main gate will require you to bring only the characters that you have used for the crucibles. You can't use any of the characters locked to the tier for other tiers unless you unlock them. Firstly, let's break down the requirements of the crucibles. All LUFENIA orbs are fatal and they are mechanics that you should watch out for this Transcendence fight. Do take note that LUFENIA auras for crucibles are the standard versions and they are not the restrictive ones that you face in the plus versions. For the left crucible or crucible 1, you will be fighting 2 Marilith Tempest. The Marilith has 13 million HP each. The turn requirements are 60 and you need to bring a blue crystal unit. The orb requires you to inflict a debuff per turn or you can just inflict a gold frame debuff. For the right crucible or crucible 2, you will be fighting 2 Requin. The Requin has 13 million HP each. The turn requirement is 50 and you need to bring a green crystal unit. The orb requires you to spam instant turns that do HP damage. Upon clearing both crucibles, you will be able to access the main reckoning stage or the middle gate. You will be fighting a new enemy type, Quartz Disaster, where you need to fight 3 times. The dragon has 13 million HP per phase. The turn count for the fight is 110 and the HP requirements is 15,000. The orb will appear when you approach to the next phase. The orb appearing upon starting the second phase is fatal, while the orb that appears upon starting the third phase is non-fatal. In order to kill the boss, you need to let the boss take 10 turns during the third phase or let the boss uses the countdown ability. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the stage was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Let's cover on the mechanics of the first crucible. You need to bring a blue crystal unit for the stage and units that can inflict debuff using their abilities. There is a wide cast of units that inflict debuffs. To uptick the orb by a big margin, you need to inflict a gold frame debuff. Currently in global, there are only 3 units that can inflict gold frame debuffs. They are Laguna, Sephiroth, and Kaduch. Firstly, let's cover the orb triggers. At the start of the fight, the orb will begin at the count of 10. It is a non-cancelable orb. The LUFENIA countdown ability is fatal. The orb will downtick by 2 per action. If you inflict a debuff on the character turns, it will uptick the orb by 1. If your character acts and there is no debuff inflicted, the orb will downtick by 2. So do plan your actions carefully. At the first glance, the orb may seem to be a tough requirement to meet. But with the recent C90 awakenings and character reworks, there are a lot of units that can finish off this fight before the boss become a threat to your party. The orb is designed to the strength of the featured BT unit, Laguna. Almost all of Laguna's abilities can inflict a debuff. Other than Laguna, units that have debuffs on most of their abilities are Kefka, Lily Set, Shantato, X-Death, Ash, Cypher, Mog, Aerith, Fang, Redia and much more. You can also bring Sephiroth LDCA if you have already used him in the earlier tiers. If they are still available, Gladio and Auron will be useful here as their counters will inflict a debuff. The Marilith have very high potencies on their brave hits, so it is best to do boss no turns or delay them to infinity. The boss Ballet Omega or Tempest Bolt could accidentally kill off a unit if you don't have any damage mitigation. Brave control calls like Setzer, Arcela, Paris, and Kater are useful here. Redia is also featured dominantly here for her evasion utility. Now, let's cover the second crucible. For this crucible, you need to bring a green crystal unit. You will be fighting 2 Requin. They will enter into jamming mode at the 79% HP threshold, where their battle texture will change from blue to red. To uptick the orb, you need do instant turns that do HP damage. AA can help to uptick the orb if they do HP damage. Examples of attacking AA are Cloud and Titus. They could move in between your turns with cut triggered at the 79% and 49%. They are immune to delay and turn deletion for a turn. The immunity will only be removed after they take a turn. On the screen, I have listed down the units that have instant turns with HP attacks. They are Terra, Titus, Shadow, Zell, Jet, Rem, Tifa, Alisai, and Papa Limo. Terra with her base BT can solo this tier on her own. When fighting these sharks, do take note of the following pointers that I am about to mention. 1. They could insert their turns with blue splash. 2. They will become dangerous once they enter into jamming mode. 3. Don't get broken by them while in jamming mode, otherwise they will follow up with screw attack plus that could screw your run. With the 2 crucibles out of the way, let's focus on the main reckoning stage. You will be restricted to use 6 of the units that you used for the earlier crucible stages. Here is a quick overview of the fight. You will be fighting the Quartz disaster and you need to fight it 3 times. It will use regenerate to fully heal itself when you are going to the next phase. In the first phase, other than its standard attacks, it will apply 50% brave gain reduction field effect. There won't be any LUFENIA orb active. Once its HP drop to below 10%, it will use regenerate. Once you enter into the second phase, the orb will appear with a counter of 5. Don't let the boss get a turn to downtick the orb. Otherwise, your party will get wiped by the countdown ability. Upon reducing the boss HP down to 10% for the second time, you will enter into the third phase. The orb will appear at the counter of 10 and the boss will gain an immortality boost until it acts 10 times. During this phase, the boss will be immune to delay from break. The boss recast ability Bio Breath is an AoE Brave plus HP attack. It will gain a blue aura that has HP and Brave Theft. While it is active, you won't be able to heal your lost HP and your Brave gains will be stolen to the boss Brave pool. To deactivate this, you need to accumulate 5 party actions. Let's start off the mechanics proper. I will be covering phase 1 and 2 in this slide. While in the first phase, the boss will activate the Brave Gain Reduction aura where it will reduce your Brave Gain by 50%. Make use of your instant turns, delay, and launches to lower the boss HP so you can approach to the next threshold. The boss will use regenerate when it proceed to the next phase. At the start of the phase, it will activate its next level of auras and the LUFENIA orb will appears for the first time at the counter of 5. It will give a warning message, reduce Quartz disaster's HP before it acts 5 times. It will cancel the reduced Brave Gain effect. You need to nuke the boss HP down to activate the next phase. Most JP players use their summon or burst phase during this phase. Upon entering this phase, the boss will use regenerate. The original orb will get cancelled and gets replaced with a 10 counter orb. You will see a message prompt, cannot defeat Quartz disaster before it acts 10 times. In this phase, the boss gain immunity from delay from breaks. It will become immortal until you let it act 10 turns. In other words, you need to let the boss uses the countdown ability to remove its immortality. In short, avoid skills that delay and delete in this phase. Do ensure your debuffs are up to lower the boss Brave hits. Damage mitigation is important so you can minimize the Brave that the boss could gains from its normal attacks. Like the recent bosses, the Quartz disaster also has a standard damage cycle. Its recast ability will take 5 actions to fill up. Other than the recast ability, do watch out for its Sharp Horn and Mega Flash as those attacks deal HP damage. Brave control and damage mitigation are 2 important utility you need to consider on bringing for this fight. I have listed down the units that you can consider bringing or using them as calls. I have come to the end of the guide. Hopefully, This will help you. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you are looking forward future content like this, please subscribe to my channel for future related content. Good luck and bye.